Hello, and welcome to Nerd Punch's Nerd Driving Edition.
Well, I think we should call it Nerd Punches Nerd in a Car. Ow, Jeremy! Yeah, get it? That was fake for TV.
That's right. So, today we're going to be talking about Glow, which was a show on Netflix starring, I believe, Mark Maron, Betty Gilpin, Alison Brie, and let's see, who else? That girl from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Ellen Wong, that wrestling lady, and I've forgotten the rest of the actresses' names. But today, we're going to quickly ask if you could pick your female wrestling persona from the 80s, what would it be? So,
The 80s? Oh, whatever. I think mine will still work for the 80s.
I'll go first.
Okay, so we're making up our own.
Right.
So we should be clear. Make up our own, and who we would be as a female wrestling persona.
That's right. I would be Jenny from the block. And my shtick would be that I would carry a big block of wood around that I would hit people with. And it's just a block I grew up on, and I carry it with me. And then I would just hit people with it.
Alright.
She's got the block! She's got the block! Oh, damn it! Wherefore aren't you calling this?
Would Jim Ross or JR, like,
I don't know.
he was working there back then.
Maybe it would be Vince, I guess Vince McMahon was probably, he was like the announcer back in the original times.
Right.
My God, Jenny, she's got a block. She's got the block.
She's still Jenny from the block.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, and what would your persona be?
So I was thinking Mrs. Deborah Frumpelstein, who's just a frumpy Jewish woman, but wearing frumpy clothes. But I could see her packing like a mean stunner, doing all sorts of suplexes and stuff, and clotheslines. And her whole thing is her finishing moves is someone would hand her like a steaming crock pot of cholent, and she would go and throw it at you. I think they would do that in the 80s, like literally her taking food and throwing it.
I think they would have done that in the 90s also.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, that's interesting because there actually there were two characters.
That's who I would be. Just so you know.
Glow, that were basically like old ladies, kind of. They're like housewives. Like, what's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. I was watching one of these like promos on YouTube of like the original Glow. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the same two ladies who played the old ladies, they also played like the two punk ones. Also, they just switched costumes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, as long as we're being over the top and mildly offensive, you know.
So Glow was a real thing in the 80s. It was a women's only wrestling program. I mean, I never saw it, but I wasn't really that familiar with wrestling back then anyway. And of course, it had all the stereotypes. There was a character named Farmer's Daughter, which is exactly who you'd think it would be. And then they had like Little Fuji and Mount Fuji, and then they had there was all those types of things, and there was a character named Palestina. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Wait, oh yeah.
These are all real
wow.
characters that they had, and then there was like what's the name? There was like Spanish Harlem.
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
She's like, I'm gonna hit you with my Spanish or whatever Latina something. I forget. She's like
not her Latino heat.
No. She's like talking about drinking tequila and killing people. If you should look up the Glow rap on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. It's awful. It's a classic like 80s awful rap. A bunch of people who cannot rap. Like, we're the Glow people, and we're here to say that we're gonna kick your ass every day type of thing.
And that was like in the show.
Well, right.
That was the making fun of? Okay.
So Glow comes from, she's like, Genji Cohen is like the executive producer, but it was actually two of her writers and producers that came on to do Glow from working with her on like Orange is the New Black.
Well, let's explain. Genji Cohen is the woman behind Weeds and Orange is the New Black.
Right.
So, I'd say a pretty terrific writer, showrunner, and we should say like what you already say what Glow stands for and what it originally was.
Yeah, Glow stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It was a real, stupid, campy wrestling show that had some interesting problems that kind of caused it to end. There's actually a documentary on Netflix right now about the real Glow as well. You can watch if you want to sort of see some behind-the-scenes interviews and stuff about talking a little bit sort of how it was developed and how it ended and stuff. Now, the show that we're talking about, though, is a fictionalized version of the real Glow. So there's a lot of characters that are sort of loosely based off of characters, and they're like amalgams and stuff, but a lot of it is just sort of original. Like, the story of how things happen in the show is not the same as how it happened in real life, just in terms of how they struggled specifically and stuff. It was a lot, they had a lot more success early on than they did on the Netflix show. So, let's just talk, I guess, a little bit about the characters. I would say that there's basically three main characters, and then there's a lot of other characters that have a lot of importance as well. And then there's some tertiary ones that aren't as relevant. But most of the characters have at least a little bit of an arc of something. Some more than others. So there's Ruth, who's played by Alison Brie, who's basically a struggling actress and is kind of running out of money and sees this audition for Glow because she can't really find anything else. She's like, I'm going to do it. She's sort of like this, like, trained actress. It's like always talking about, like, the method, and, her theater productions. It's like, oh, so I did some clown work, type of thing. And, she's sort of pretentious. And what is great is that she's actually a good actress, but she's also kind of an insufferable actress.
What do you mean by that?
The character.
Yeah, what do you mean by insufferable? I think I know what you're saying, but you should
meaning
explain.
She's very, like, pretentious, like, and, like, she doesn't always understand the correct way to actually act in certain circumstances.
Well, she's also insistent on being a serious actress all the time.
Yeah.
Being about like the craft, but it's also like the moment may not always like arise for it, or she'll kind of insist on the process being, more, actory than it.
That's right.
Than it actually calls for.
Yeah. So, as the show is kind of starting up, it's after she kind of makes a really stupid mistake and sleeps with her best friend's husband, who's played by Rich Moore of Mad Men fame, where he played that Harry. Rich Moore is very good at playing that kind of like the "Can you believe this guy?" type of character. And so Harry's wife is played by Betty Gilpin, who has been on a lot that you would probably know, but she had a small role in American Gods.
She was on Nurse Jackie.
Yeah, that's right. And she's really good in the show too.
Yeah.
And it's sort of interesting because, like, you think like, Harry is like, how come he seems like he's such a douchebag. It's kind of funny, how both these women both slept with him. Like, how did that happen? But I guess he had stability. Maybe that's what attracted Betty Gilpin's character in the first place. But so she is a former soap opera star. She got pregnant. She got written off the show, and
the show that she was on.
We're
all still in the fictional universe right now.
Yeah, that's right. And Mark Maron plays this guy who is, I guess you could say, he's sort of a washed-up B-movie director. And as we find out, this producer guy, Bash, is essentially offered to bankroll his next movie if he offers to direct this Glow TV show, because he needs like a professional. Because this guy, Bash, is basically like a trust fund rich kid who loves wrestling. I think we're having this is spoiler time, right? It's all spoilers,
right?
So we think that he might be gay, right?
Yeah, well, it seems like with the relationship that he has with his
Manservant friend.
yeah, and he's like he has to be there, and that's like I feel like it's a little, and he doesn't seem to be really interested in the women there, even though there are like a number of attractive women and stuff, and like while the Mark Maron character is more so, you know, and clearly they have like attractive women there, and that's part of the thing they're sort of trying to they're trying to like market as well, to other people. So the fact that Bash isn't really he doesn't seem to be really responding to them in a way like he is into them.
He's the closest with the one who plays Machu Picchu, Carmen. And she's not conventionally attractive, but like she's got like that great personality. They say like they become like friends, and like but he's pretending to be her boyfriend. I did like that scene where he's confronting like the dad to try to convince, or he's like yes we're serious, but not that serious, but actually serious because we're thinking together even.
Right. Okay, so I think what would be good is for us to sort of, we can summarize the plot, but for us to try to convince people why they should watch it. And what would be good? I think because some people have heard of it, and I don't know if it sounds interesting to a lot of people. Obviously nowadays there's just such a influx of shows and different things that people watch that it's like everyone's recommending different things, but. So I think there were specifically some good reasons to watch.
Well, first of all,
but
let me give you this. Each episode's only 30 or 40 minutes.
Right.
There's only 10 episodes.
Right.
You could easily watch the whole season in a weekend if you wanted to.
Right.
And it's one of the
and they're
better
complete episodes too. I mean, it's not.
That's right.
Each episode's very good.
In that Netflix model of like binging, they're good. They're good episodes, and you get into it pretty fast. It's got a great soundtrack. It has like it has that classic sort of 80s vibe. Picking appropriate, interesting, appropriate 80s music.
Yeah, and actually, sorry,
it's not what like. Sometimes some things get like egregiously 80s, and it kind of like ugh. And this does it in a way that's kind of like tongue in cheek. So the show is a comedy with dramatic elements, but it is really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Mark Maron is really funny in, like, very first episode.
Right.
It's very funny. Like, he's really good. This is, like, his best performance.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. We'll get to that in a second. When you talk about the 80s aesthetic thing, it's as if they like, took a page from the Stranger Things book in the sense of, first of all, it being an 80s sort of thing. In a different way, but they both take place in the 80s, but it actually is like, feels real, about people in the 80s, as opposed to, it's just an 80s vibe. But, and when they have the what's the name of the music when it's like, indigenous music or digestible music, what's the,
wait, are you diegetic?
Yeah. They have, well, all I'm saying is like, when they have music playing, like the 80s music playing during the show, during Glow, just like in Stranger Things. It's just that they have 80s music playing, so it makes you feel like they're living in the 80s, but it's not like over the top, like this is an 80s thing, unless you're talking about the opening sequence. So anyway, I think they did a good job with that. But I think it would be worthwhile for us to, you mentioned it for a second, to talk about one of the big reasons to watch it is how you kind of mentioned some of the actors in it. So, what were you saying about Mark Maron?
Mark Maron is really great. He's funny. He has some nice, like, dramatic turns. He's very believable in his character.
Yeah.
It's clear he's drawing from some, like, life experiences for this type of thing. But he feels like a character. He's like, that guy feels real.
Yeah, he, like, it seems so natural for him.
Yeah, he's so good at that. Well,
and he said, I heard him do, like, an interview, do, like, a podcast where he was talking about, it was actually, it was on RuPaul's podcast. But Mark Maron was talking about how he was, how the way he did the character, in a lot of ways was he's just, it definitely is a part of him in a lot of ways. But he's like a super neurotic guy, like Mark Maron. He said he just had to turn down a lot of the neurotic stuff and just let the kind of asshole jaded guy there. He just, I mean, the look like he just looks like one of those. He looks like who he is in it. He's got the mustache and the glasses, and he looks like he's been this like B movie director, screenwriter who hasn't really made it, and like has got all these like
all the actors
ideas,
are good.
Well, let's go through some of them.
The leads are really good. Like the guy, producer Bash guy is really interesting. Once you kind of realize, he has like some very interesting depths. You don't realize at first.
You first think that he's, and I think this is the thing. Even though it's not exactly Genji Cohen, I don't understand like the real people who are behind it are like some of her writers, but I'm sure they working with Genji Cohen, they learned how to do this well. But Genji Cohen's character is just really good at you think they're gonna be this kind of stereotype, or even just like one sort of archetype that's sort of predictable of the type of person they are, and they turn out to have more depth. So Bash seems like at first just this douchebag, not caring, son of a just really wealthy son. Yeah, trust fund baby. And again, as you were saying, like he has a lot of depth. Like he really, as you're saying, really big wrestling fan, but also seems to kind of care about doing it well. Also seems to care about, or at least comes to care about the cast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And about the production.
And the thing is, like, he's right a lot about how it's supposed to go. Because I remember there's Mark Maron's character is trying to come up with this ludicrous, complicated A-movie.
It's actually really sexist. Like this
awful plot, just terrible. And then guys well, listen, it's good. It's too complicated because but wrestling audiences,
right?
We need archetypes, man. We need to understand. So then he was getting into the stereotypes thing. He's like, okay, you're Oriental. He's like, you're right. He's like, I'm Cambodian. He's like, that's backstory. He's like, you're a terrorist. He's like, I'm Indian. He's like, okay.
Right. Lebanese.
He's
what they have with the black wrestlers, they were called she's called the welfare queen or
whatever.
But
she did so good with that character. First of all, you saw how she was saying she was worried about her son,
seeing the racist image.
Yeah, but then she was so good with
she was really good at that.
So good at committing to that welfare queen thing. It's like, I'm living off of Uncle Sam's,
all paid for by the American taxpayer.
Well, that's great.
Especially, I think the whole thing with it is that was during the Reagan era, so that's that's kind of the thing. But we can get to the thematic stuff later.
And then,
so let's go to Alison Brie. Because she obviously
is really good. She's really interesting because she's sort of an asshole character too. She's like a good-hearted person, but she's also a mess. She's she's sort of self-sabotaging.
And sabotage her friendship too. And she goes up. And that's I think one of the things that's very impressive about how she's written, how she does it, is that it's believable that she in general tries to be a really good person, but she's got this it's like her coming to grips with kind of the, I don't say the evil side of her, but the bad side of her, and that's I think what comes out in the villain that she plays. Because the whole thing is she's wants to be, she's like, I'm going to be the star, I'm going to be the lead, and partially plays into probably her jealousy, which she sort of mentions with her friend that was kind of underneath it, because her friend Betty Gilpin is this beautiful blonde soap opera star, and Alice Brie's character was probably a little bit jealous of all that stuff, and so Alice Brie was avoiding being this villain, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna be the villain, but she ends up really owning up to it and doing a terrific job at it. and then her acting stuff comes in handy because she's just able to get really to the character. What's the name of the villain she plays? Of the heel she plays?
Oh, I don't remember, but
essentially, it's how
like
do you
the Russian
describe it?
character. She's
Right.
like a Russian, stereotype.
During the Cold War, during the 80s. So she
None of you Americans can fight me. You are all too much pussy.
right. So she's like,
in Soviet Russia, abortion is the only thing there is no line for.
yeah, but she's right. So she does such a good job because the whole thing is that she like improvises stuff with what the character would say, and she just does really really well. Just really, and she seems to really enjoy that character, and she ends up doing a really good job, like doing the wrestling thing, like acting like the over the top, wrestler.
Yeah, they did all their own stunts with this show. Too.
Really, no, I mean they're definitely great. So she does a really good job in the show. I mean, she's really good at like kind of in the way in Birdman that Michael Keaton did a good job at playing like a what was his name, that he was like a decent actor who's like not that great but was like decent enough, was really trying to make something work. Alison Brie is like playing the actor. The character she plays is probably a better actress than Michael Keaton than Michael Keaton's character was as an actress, but still, that's kind of the same thing. Like, you can see her trying to get better as an actress and further her career. So she does and having that balance is really, really impressive. To be an actor playing an actor, I mean, there's kind of a trope of that role, and I think she really does a really good job at like just balancing, the personal life and the acting life and all that stuff. And I mean, Alison Brie is like, I've never seen her disappoint in a role. Like, so,
Yeah, she's always been really good. And I think that it's kind of funny because, like, these characters, they have, like, a lot of depth to them, but they're also very funny, too. And there's a lot of sort of realism in the way, like, the women interact. That's helped by having so many, female writers. It seems like these are real interactions. And there's some weird people, but they also, it's always like they build up stuff and they have a good, like, ensemble of, like, interesting characters, like the party girl.
Even her, well, I'm saying that's another good point, too, that the woman who looks like Courtney Cox, she, like, I always think she looks kind of like Courtney Cox, but, like, she, like, again, with her, she seems like she's just gonna be, like an asshole, she's gonna be kind of a bitch and stuff, and then, like, and then when you, and then as you learn more about her, like, she's not totally that. She, again, it's like, like, as I said, Genji Cohen is really good at those writers, but creating these, like, characters that have more depth to it, then you're like, oh, I kind of understand why she's kind of an asshole. And, like, and it's not doesn't excuse her, it's just, like, there's clearly some stuff going on there of, like, and probably some drug and partying stuff that are problems, and then...
Well, let me give my final, like, this is, like, what sold me. It was in the first episode, and, like, at the end, basically, Bridgemore's husband, has admitted to his wife about his infidelity. She's like, storming, like, the wrestling rink where they're practicing, and she starts, like beating up Ruth, and, like, Sam, who's, like, staring out, like, sort of high on coke, he has this, like, vision that it's of, like, this kind of, like, crazy 80s wrestling rink thing. It's like the hairstyles and makeup and everything of the two of them fighting. And they start playing, the Journey song, someday love will find you, break home, and that one. And it's, Separate Ways is the name of the song, which is a great song, first of all. But it's also, it's just like, they really, I love it, that scene, because they timed, like, all, like, the hits and stuff to the music, which is really great.
Yeah, it's like the vision he sees. And it's like a wrestling thing where she actually, but she did it for real life. Like she comes in while Ruth is in the ring. Betty Gilpin comes in and like starts yelling at her. Yeah, about it. So yeah. No. You're right. So so we've talked about some of the main actors, the woman, the black woman who plays that one character. But I mean, I think like in general the ensemble's good without and they do a good job of like pacing how they get closer and closer as a group as they're like living near each other and hanging out trying to do this whole thing. And yeah. So just in general, I think that's very impressive. So I think we move on from actors. I think some of the thematic stuff going on in it is pretty good. And what I mean is like there is this kind of undercurrent of like a social commentary thing going on a little bit, sure. While still talking about like there's over the top stuff going on in wrestling. You could say entertainment of having these stereotypes. And it still goes on in wrestling. Wrestling is always known for having stereotypical characters, offensive characters, things like that.
But that even makes like the point, like it's hard to find a lot of really good complex roles for women, or having shows that have a lot of women, or having like anything other than white characters, and I guess black characters to a lesser extent. But then past that, you get very little. Except for very like specific genre shows that are like, this is the Hispanic show, like Jane the Virgin. If other than that, you tend like not to see any kind of real diversity. And this show has a lot of diversity.
Right. And again, they're very believable real characters, which is the really good thing about it. But what I was saying too is remember that was kind of the whole thing. I think with like the character Sam, Mark Maron, which is that he seemed to like they kind of hint that he's like done some like activism stuff, because remember the whole thing is, obviously these are spoilers, this whole thing.
Yeah.
Remember like at the when he finds out that one girl who he thought was into him was actually his daughter.
Yeah.
And
living out Back to the Future, man.
Right. And apparently her mom, like he met Sam, it was like a Black Panther, a Black Panther meetup or something. But then what he does with the twist at the end, with the black wrestlers, with like them like saying like having like a whole like promo or speech saying like the character, the wrestler saying all this stuff you've done to my people or something like that.
Right, well,
so that's sort of the undercurrent. And I think going on there, and he tried to have that as like a twist of like. Not telling the Betty Gilpin character who won the title that this was going to happen, but so like that stuff is like going on sort of in the background, and how like the people, remember, they throw like the beer cans at the Indian woman,
right?
Like you're a terrorist,
Were you taken in by the work?
What do you mean? I was like taken in?
Like, did the work? They had to work. Did you see it coming?
No, I didn't see it coming. That's
because I didn't. I should clarify. When I say work, it's a wrestling term, which means kind of like a lot. Like sort of like a pretend lie thing. Because at the end, the Ruth is sort of like pretending with Betty Gilpin to she's pretending that she actually isn't gonna wrestle, but she does anyway. And comes out of the crowd, and it's like, they didn't. Oh, the wrestling. It's like,
and they sort of also capture that's what happens in wrestling that's done well.
Yes,
surprises.
But of course, it doesn't make sense that you tell the other wrestlers. You don't tell the audience, but that's a different thing. But I understand why they did that for like the surprise piece. And then of course, Sam had his own like last minute twist he decided to do because of that.
Right. So again, like you get the sense, because remember there's that thing where like. One of the black wrestlers, she was saying to like one of the guys, so the black guy who's the husband of one of the wrestlers,
right?
Like asking him, she was like asking him like, do you think Sam, the Mark Maron character, like, is he racist? He's like, I wouldn't say racist, but we're sexist, I would say. And that's kind of those kind of interesting things that like it seems like he like cares about the social commentary stuff, but he definitely has a lot like anger towards women.
Yeah. And there's some kind of weird mother thing for sure. Too.
Which, by the way, does sort of sync up with some of the people behind professional wrestling too. Some of the guys in professional wrestling. So,
What do you mean?
well, are there people? Are there people who like famously had some issues in there? Well, that's the whole thing in wrestling. Is like a number of wrestlers, writers, things like that have had a number of issues with like their like personal lives with like their like marriages and relationships
sure.
and
I thought
things
you were
like
talking
that.
specifically about like a mother thing.
No. I'm just saying in general.
Well, sure, that happens.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like incidental.
But I'm wondering if that's what they were basing it off of in some sense.
I don't know. You have to get like that, like specific, because I mean, these are sort of tropes, and you can be inspired a lot by just characters and looking at the original both. I mean, the arc of the first season is essentially let's get the show on the air, and there's and then there's a secondary arc of Ruth trying to somehow reconcile with her friend,
right?
And then there's a lot of other things.
In the tertiary arc.
Well, there's more. There's
I mean, maybe Sam's is right below that. You could say to an extent because you do see the arc of his relationships, and so he kind of is like the third protagonist. Well, he is. I mean, they're really three protagonists.
You hear like Cherry's thing is going to be a thing next season, which is like Cherry was hired to be on the show. He's like, so we want a black lady and a Jew. They're going to be cops. Like, remember? That's the show that she got cast on. Well, of course, so Angie Cohen, and one of the showrunners is Jewish. I forget which one, but there's definitely some Jewish stuff in this show.
What do you mean?
I mean, just like in Orange is the New Black, there's some in Weeds, there's Jewy crap. No, we're allowed to say that because we're Jews, but
like, what are you talking about in this show?
Well, there was the whole stuff about like your favorite character, the Russian Jew. Remember the Russian Jew that she goes to the prison?
Right.
And I knew you were gonna like that guy because you always love the sort of like the asshole Russian guy. So,
well, I wonder, and also again, like it makes sense in historical context. What in the 80s though? I'm trying to think. I mean, after
this was around that time where they were trying to get a lot of Russian Jews out.
Were they successfully doing it
in the late 80s? That was like a huge thing. I actually went to a rally.
I know that, but I'm saying is, what year does this take place in?
It's like late 80s.
So was it after the collapse of Soviet Union?
No. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's because definitely after it collapsed, there were a lot of Russian Jews who came. When we were growing up.
Really, it was before. That
so
was
it was happening.
Whole point.
Okay, so they were getting people. Yeah.
Because they were as he said, Jews. There was like a lot of anti-Semitism in Russia, and there had been for a very long time, and it was not better under communism in the slightest, despite having a lot of Jews in the origins of communism, but that didn't help, obviously. I mean, Marx obviously was one of them, but there were also a lot of anti-Semites.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yes. So it's like
one of them.
so that makes sense with that makes sense with getting with having like she went to like a Russian Jewish
adult prison thing. Yeah.
Adult prison.
Right. Well, but his explanation made sense. Like he couldn't do it in Russia because it was illegal.
Right.
You weren't allowed to express like religious beliefs or practices under communist Russia. But so he never had a prison.
I guess in general, like just as we're rounding it off, like I think with the show, in a general sense, without even mentioning the wrestling part, because I mean, if you're a wrestling fan at all, I think it's worthwhile seeing it. I think that's easier. That's an easier sell.
Yeah, if you're really freaking out about the concept of like SJW, whatever, I can tell you my Republican friend, he really liked it.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, I heard a lot of people were like, "This is feminist propaganda."
Yeah, well, I think they're just
All
saying
I'm
that
saying
because it's a female-fronted show, but that
is
yeah.
my Republican friend who, probably doesn't like feminist propaganda, likes the show. He's a wrestling fan.
Well, I think the important thing is that it's a really well done show. So so the first thing I say is, as I was saying, is like if you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll like it because they treat wrestling with respect while still also pointing out the flaws in it and the ridiculous stuff. Because, by the way, many, if not most, professional wrestling fans, and I would include myself in that, and you would too, at least in a general sense, know there's plenty of ridiculousness and stupid stuff in wrestling. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Some of that is fun, and part of it, some of it is just dumb.
Yeah, the revelation.
But they do hold on. They do a good job with that. But if you're not a wrestling fan, because it's not like most people are wrestling fans.
Right.
The show has so many layers to it, and believable, legitimate layers to it, and there are all these interconnecting, weaving stories. Even though there are these condensed, these like 30-minute episodes, and to have all the storylines going on that are believable and good, and the reveals being surprising and satisfying, and all that, make it really worthwhile. And again, they don't push. Even though I was saying there's some social commentary stuff there, it's not pushed in a way that's like, here is my point of view about society and life. These are just these really good stories, and it's from the perspective mostly of female characters, which is great.
Characters.
It's true characters, but also the male characters are real too. So if you have like a problem with it, with wanting to say it's like a feminist propaganda thing, it's garbage. It's just a really well done show, and it's written by female writers. So I mean, like they're writing things from.
Now I will say it is interesting because like apparently Alison Brie's character was originally written to be kind of unattractive, so she had to like really push to get the role. She's like,
Alison Brie was pushing it. Yeah, and I mean they clearly did stuff. I mean, it's like they didn't make her up as much. She wore like less makeup.
She had no makeup.
She had no makeup. Well, yeah. So I mean, I think they were trying for that. But I mean, Alison Brie is so attractive.
Right. Well, that's So they kind of made some jokes about that. Like he's like in the first episode, he's like, you have one of those faces where it's like I look from one angle, I'm like yes, another one's like.
Mark Maron's
get out of here. He's like, I don't know, it's your face or your ass. I don't like it. Or maybe I like it too much. Or like when like he was like saying like she's like the villain. He's like, what? No, she's the girl next door. So they kind of like they junk the she's not attractive because obviously that's ridiculous.
Right.
But it's
right. Well, but still being. I mean, it made sense like being juxtaposed next to Betty Gilpin and all that. That was I think part of the thing.
Right. Well, she's more like classic, blonde bombshell type.
Right. And again, they did. I mean, maybe we didn't mention her acting so much too, but she does a really.
She's great.
A little bit. She does a really good, and her whole thing, and she doesn't play like a stereotypical, like blonde bombshell stuff. I mean, she seems like she's an actress who had a kid and wanted to focus on that, and was also sort of sounds like her husband sort of manipulated her and talked her into taking that more seriously, but I mean, she clearly was taking seriously being a mom too, and wanted a family as well. So she wanted some stability, but also wanted her own life too, and really seemed to. Remember, she mentioned how much she liked doing wrestling. She said, I feel like I have control, and all.
She felt like finally she had control.
But she.
So the only problem
really good,
is that they both can't win an Emmy for the show. Because they're both so good, and I don't know. It's hard to like decide.
Mark Maron also.
Well, yeah, but he would be a different category. Right. It's hard to decide who does better because they're both really good in the show. I feel like Alison Brie is a little bit more interesting. Yeah, that character, and she does like just some of the stuff that she does. I mean, having believably making her Russian jokes funny is hard, but she does a really good job with it. I think we should just wrap it up. We definitely recommend the show. It's one of the best in a while. I feel like there's a lot. People talk about peak TV and stuff, and there's a lot of shows that I feel like, most shows for me are, they're fine. Some shows are bad, but I mean, right now this is like up there with some of the better shows.
I'd agree. I mean, like, what's around right now that we consider really solid shows? I mean, there obviously,
You're the worst.
we can talk.
Rick and Morty.
Hold on. The point I was going to make is obviously, nerd punches nerd. We're going to be a little more partial to trying to watch and put enthusiasm towards things like the Marvel universe and stuff like that. And obviously, we all have our own opinions about the different shows, but we're going to maybe put a little more effort and see. I like this, didn't like this, or whatever. But I don't know if most of the shows I would say would be up there as some of the best shows. I mean, I love Jessica Jones. I thought that was the best out of all of them in terms of as a show.
Right.
But like in terms of shows that are out there now that are like, wow, these are really good shows. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, You're the Worst, Rick and Morty, obviously, Stranger Things, and I would say Orange is the New Black. Too. I haven't really seen. I haven't seen the most recent seasons of House of Cards, but I think you don't like that as much. But yeah, but Orange is the New Black is there, and the other ones we mentioned. I think Glow also deserves to be up there in that category. Obviously, we're missing some shows we're talking about, but I think Glow is one of the best ones on Netflix. I mean, easily.
I mean, you haven't seen BoJack Horseman. That's pretty great. But I mean, Glow. If you're talking about original Netflix shows, I think it is my favorite one.
Better than Stranger Things?
Yes.
I don't think it's better than Stranger Things, but okay.
I like Stranger Things, but no, I like Glow. Anyway, has the beautiful tones of Waze sing us to a new drive. I think it's time to wrap it up. So, nerd you later, Benj.
Nerd you later.